Not quite famous, not quite famous, not quite famous.
We're almost there.
Not quite famous.
We're almost there.
Not quite famous.
But we're not quite famous.
Hey guys, welcome to episode number 12 of the Not Quite Famous podcast. We're back. We took a hiatus for a few weeks for the holidays and all that. I decided it'd just be easier to, take a couple weeks off as opposed to try and find the time to edit and record a few episodes during all the crazy holidayness since I have, children and whatnot. I think that's fair. I think we're all on the same page about that. I am excited. We had a really great interview for this week. It's a good friend of mine, hilarious comedian and writer, Justin Harrison. He is truly a very dear friend of mine. I've known him for a long time. We met when we were both baby comics, and he is one of the hardest working comics I know. He just grinds like crazy. He's also an amazingly talented writer. We talk about his new book that just came out recently called Confessions of a Fat Player. It's pretty great. I look forward to what you guys think of the interview. He's really smart, incredibly interesting and entertaining. We talk about a lot of interesting things. We talk about the place of sizeism in the entertainment industry a little bit. We talk about what it's like being a larger guy but owning it and being confident about it. That's something we kind of bonded about together over the years. And yeah, he produces stuff all over California. Hilarious cat. Lots of stuff in LA. But you can find him on the road too. He's a hilarious comedian. You guys definitely should check him out. I'll have links to his website, Twitter, all that stuff in the show notes. So you guys please make sure you check out his stuff, his calendar, see him on stage, and pick up Confessions of a Fat Player. It is a great book. I am recovering from the holidays. I know that's hacky as shit to say, but it's true. I'm recovering from the holidays. It was the first one with the new baby, second one with my stepson Ty, so it was interesting. First off, I just want to say, fuck mall Santa Clauses. We went to Sun Valley Mall in Pleasant Hill, California, near where I live, and the mall Santa Claus there made it abundantly clear he hated the fact that he's a mall Santa Claus. He was so down and shitty and just clearly didn't want to be there. And he was an older guy, authentic beard, Santa and all that. And he was phoning it in. That's the only way to put it. He was phoning in. The mall Santa Claus was phoning it in. So I get it. It's not the most glamorous, amazing job. I think it's still show business. I think it's still, at the basic level, it's show business. It's one step above being a mascot at the theme park, I guess. But still, children, their happiness depends on your performance, dude. Come on. Don't be a tool. That's all I'm saying is don't be a tool. Put some effort into it. It's showtime, Elvis. Come on. This guy, he was so lackluster. I think there's an unwritten rule where mall Santa Clauses need to make eye contact with the parents and see what's okay to say yes to and what's not okay. Because this mall Santa Claus, who didn't give a shit, who wasn't paying attention, he wrote a big fat fucking check that Daddy here had to cash. Yeah. I probably should have started this off. Spoiler alert: Santa Claus isn't real. I didn't want to ruin that for anybody. But yeah, it's. Oh man, fuck that mall Santa Claus at Sun Valley Mall. He, I don't know if he smelled like candy canes or peppermint schnapps. I don't know which one it was, but yeah, I was very disappointed by that mall Santa Claus. But what do you do? Where do you report them? Can you Yelp a Santa Claus? By the time you Yelp it, Christmas is fucking over. We didn't take them to see Santa Claus until like a week before Christmas happened, so it was pretty late by then, And it was a good experience for the most part. I mean, it's one of those malls where they have the corporate like setup, like Winter Wonderland theme setup. They had a whole frozen like ice palace thing with fake snow for the kids to play in, which is great. You want to not warn the parents that your kids are going to be covered in fake snow before they sit down to take a picture. That's always awesome. And the kids loved it. I mean, Ty was going nuts. He was playing in the snow with other kids. It was really great to see because I don't think he's ever been to the snow now that I think about it. And so it was fun. He enjoyed it, but it was all like Frozen stuff. I'm sure Frozen is a great movie. I've heard amazing things about it. I still haven't seen it. I know everyone looks at me like I just kicked a puppy every time I see that. You haven't seen Frozen? People said the same thing about Finding Nemo. I didn't see that from beginning to end until about 3 years ago. So I get it. It's a good movie, but I'm a grown man. I'm a grown man who didn't have children until recently. No, I didn't see Frozen. Ty and my wife saw it. That's it. They saw it. They liked it. It's awesome. I'll watch Big Hero 6 with Ty. That's more my kind of animated movie. Wreck-It Ralph, that was more my kind of thing. I don't know. Frozen just wasn't. I get it. Like I think it looks like it's a great animated musical. I just have so many other movies that are like stacked up that I have to watch. Frozen's not really high on that list. Unless I get the chance to watch it with the kids, I'm probably not going to. Yeah, but Christmas was good. We spent it with, my folks, as always, and it was great. My brother Daniel came over. We had a lot of fun, opened lots of gifts. We got ties. My kid is spoiled. Like, I realize that as I'm assembling, like, all this crap that we got him. Wow, my kids are spoiled. Like, we got them so much stuff. And what I realized is that Christmas for my children, it's like when I was a kid, I grew up, not like impoverished, but relatively poor. And Christmas was like a big deal, but still, it was like one, maybe two gifts from my parents, and then something big from Santa. And instead, it's like there's like a love seat couch in our living room that is just covered in presents that are from Santa. It's insane. Like there's so many, like tons of little toys, like little knick-knacky stuff that the kids will love. But it's just so many toys. And then also his stocking has to be full of so many toys. It's crazy. It's just so many gifts. Like it's insane. Like you couldn't even see the couch anymore. There were so many presents for Ty and Oliver. It just I don't get it. Like it feels so extraneous and so huge. Like, and that's the precedent that's been set now. He's 4. He's old enough to realize to expect a certain amount of presents every year, and now I have to make sure I live up to that every year. So fuck. There's so many. I don't know. I feel like I made the mistake of letting me and my wife spoil my children way too early, and now they're gonna be like expecting it and be ungrateful if there's not as many presents. I feel like I'm setting my son up to be Harry Potter's cousin or whatever, complaining about how there weren't as many gifts this year. I don't know. Maybe that's just me. Maybe that's just me feeling like I don't know. Maybe it's my inner child being jealous of how many toys my son gets for Christmas, because I didn't get many. But I don't know. I got to do some pretty cool stuff this year for the end of December, though. I have one of my really close dear friends, who's also a friend of the show and a really hilarious stand-up comedian, Mark Abrigo, was able to hook me, sometimes fellow podcaster Matt Ballage, and friend of the show, Rob Dillinger, who wrote the music you heard and has been on the show. He hooked the three of us up with a private tour of LucasFilm. Yes, Industrial Light and Magic, motherfuckers. We did that on December 29th. It was amazing. It was awesome. I just dropped my keys, and it was so much fun. It was great. We got to walk around and do a private tour, so it's not a generic one. Like, it was all personalized and it was kind of informal. It was amazing. There are all these crazy artifacts we got to see. I had to sign a non-disclosure agreement, so I can't talk about a ton of the stuff I saw. But I got to see a lot of classic movie props they have just chilling around. I took a I'm not a big selfie guy. I took a selfie of me in front of Han Solo trapped in carbonite. It's actually one of the hero ones that was on camera. That was a big deal to me. That was awesome. And when I'm sitting in the lobby waiting to get my security badge so we can get let in, I look to my right and there's a glass case that's just full of a bunch of like trophies, like People's Choice Awards and things like that Lucas has won. And then at the very top of it, just the Holy Grail from Last Crusade, just chilling on a shelf in this cabinet. It was nuts. I look up there, I'm like, it's the cup of a carpenter. I had a little geekgasm at that moment. It was kind of crazy. It was just, it was so much fun. We got to see all this stuff. I got to take a picture in front of the hand-painted original portrait of Vigo from Ghostbusters 2. That was awesome. That was just hanging out in there. It was crazy. Like, there's all these pictures we got to take. It was really great. And I can't post any of them, which sucks. Got to see a lot of cool FX stuff. Can't talk about any of it, which sucks. There was Avengers 2 stuff. A little bit of Episode 7 stuff. It was so cool. It was so great, and I can't talk about any of it, which is infuriating. But yeah, that was a lot of fun. It was, it warmed my nerdy little heart to go through there. I was always thinking like, I wonder if there's anything I'm going to be able to see, if there's anything cool. No, it was awesome. LucasFilm, you magnificent bastards. You guys, they're modern magicians. They can conjure up anything you want to see on screen. They'll make it happen, and they make it happen with such a crazy level of artistry. It's insane. I heard all these great stories from my friend Mark and other people who work for LucasFilm. It's like for the Christmas party, like they made a centerpiece with the actual Ark of the Covenant from Raiders of the Lost Ark is like in the middle of the party. And supposedly the legend is that if you open up the Ark, inside of it is the Howard the Duck screenplay, which I think is pretty great. It was amazing. Me and Rob, Rob and Matt are the two biggest Star Wars nerds I know, and they will appreciate my friendship for the rest of our lives because I hooked them up with a private tour of Lucasfilm. That makes me like the best friend they'll ever have, I'm pretty sure. I'm very happy with how my December and Christmas time panned out. In between the Lucasfilm stuff, being able to spoil my kids, it's pretty great. I lucked out. Christmas was pretty good. I've got a ton of dates this month that I want to shout out to you guys. Ton of dates. January is super busy. January into early February. So here's a bunch of dates that are coming up very soon that I want you guys to know about. January 9th, which is tomorrow night, if you're listening to this when it gets posted, is I'm going to be in Fresno, California. Fresno, CA. Assorted Armenians and Central Valley people come to this show. It's going to be awesome. It's pretty cheap. I think it's like a $5 ticket or something like that. It's going to be me and a lot of great Central Valley comics. I'm headlining it. It's going to be great. It's called The Baby Daddy Show. It's all comics who have children, so it's going to be interesting. It's going to be a relatively all ages-y show. I'm probably going to drop some F-bombs that I'll probably get in trouble for. But please come check it out if you can. Fresno, California. Go to my website for ticket details, all that stuff. Also, as always, we got Wednesday nights. Massey Sports Bar and Grill, Walnut Creek, California. This coming Wednesday the 14th, Chicago Steve Barkley, hilarious headliner. You guys will love him. Also, the 16th and 17th. On the 16th, I'll be in Reno opening for a magician, which is going to be interesting. I've never really done a big show with a magician. Comedy magicians are kind of hit or miss, but I've heard good things about this guy. So I'm going to be opening for a magician on the 16th, but on the 17th, the Pioneer Underground Comedy Club, 7 p.m. and 9:30 p.m., I'm headlining. 2 shows, headlining in Reno. Please come out and check these out. The Pioneer Underground Comedy Club, I love performing there. I do it a ton. I was there, barely a month and a half ago. Please come out and check out this show if you're in Reno, any of my Reno people. 7 p.m., 9:30 p.m., 2 shows. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be a lot of fun. I am looking forward to it. Then after that, on the 22nd, that's right, I'm in Oakland, California. Yeah, the Washington Inn for Comedy Off-Broadway. Then after that, on the 25th, I'll be in Santa Cruz, California at the Crow's Nest. Santa Cruz, California. It's going to be a great show. Please come check that out as well. All my South Bay-ish people, Ocean-y people. If you're in Santa Cruz, come to the show. That's going to be a lot of fun. The 28th, also, I have a big show. It's going to be my birthday. So on the 28th, Walnut Creek, California. Come out and see me. I'm headlining that show too. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be great. A lot of great comics on that show with me. A lot of my friends. The 29th, the Milk Bar, San Francisco. I'll be performing at the Comedy Jam. Come check that out. On the 31st and 30th, also, I will be doing the roast of an Uber driver with Roast SF. I love doing these roasts. They're a lot of fun. I did the roast of a stripper. I did the roast of dominatrix Eve Minax. That one was a lot of fun. I was the roast master for that. I'll be the roast master for the Uber one. Guess what? The Uber driver that we're roasting, friend of the show, you've heard him on here before, Chris Dirtbag Kendall, the one and only. Oh, Chris Dirtbag Kendall was also at LucasFilm with us. I don't know why I forgot to mention him before. He was there with us. But yeah, he drives Uber, and we're going to make fun of him. It's going to be great. Then February 3rd, I'm at the Vintage Lounge and Piano Bar with Del Van Dyke, hilarious comic from Sacramento, in Turlock. That's February 3rd. And February 5th, come see me headlining the comedy show at Club 21 Oakland. Amazing comedy show with Ash Fisher, who's a great, hilarious comic. The show is called Gay for Days. Primarily gay and lesbian LGBT comics do that show. I got booked for it. I look forward to it. I think it's a cool club. I've hung out at that show a lot. I don't know how many straight headliners they've had, but it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to it. That's February 5th. And yeah, that's a lot of dates. Go on my website, gregasdourian.com. All the ticket information, stuff like that, dates, times, everything is on there. Please go check that out. Please come out to the shows, especially Reno, especially Oakland and Walnut Creek, those shows. Please come check them out. I'm looking forward to it. I'll see you there. If you come to the show, come up and talk to me. Have a chat. I love taking pictures with fans. I love chatting with the fans. I love it. It's great. It's one of the best parts of what we do. Now, let's get on to Justin Harrison. We are sitting here with Justin Harrison. Finally, I feel like we've been trying to do this for a while.
We've been all over the somewhat mediocre city of Alameda looking for a place to record, and now here comes a bunch of traffic.
Of course, as soon as we start doing this.
It can't be that bad. I'm gonna talk loud.
Yeah. So
I've been at an all weekend wedding, and I've started to reach that point of like no return in terms of like not caring about like like I'm just like fuck it, let's go, let's do this.
Yeah, what was your place in the wedding? Is like I feel like the rank you are in like the wedding party, like the higher the stress level is.
I was the officiant.
Okay.
But here's the thing with that. But it was like one of those do-it-yourself weddings. So it was like, you know, everybody made this thing or that thing, and we all set up the chairs and shit. And it was really beautiful. But like, you know, as a comic for years, I was an event producer, right?
Yeah.
I'm producing events, I'm doing live shows, so I know about like breakdown chairs, fucking you need this much stuff, like, you know, you need booze, like if you're gonna do a toast, you need these glasses poured in advance, like that's what I did.
Yeah.
So I became the de facto coordinator towards the end of the day, but I was getting increasingly hammered post-wedding, right? So I'm the MC at the end, it's obvious choice, right? Your best friend's a comedian. He's MC for the fucking dances and all that. I just did the wedding, wrote my best friend's vows for him, wrote the speeches, and then I MC'd the, you know, the dancing and all that stuff. So
I've had to MC a wedding before, but that was it. Like I didn't have to give a shit about anything. Like it was a friend of mine's wedding too, somebody I went to high school with, and they asked me like a week before, hey, do you want to be the MC? And I'm like, okay, sure. And I just, you know, I think everybody expected me to add some like flair or humor to it, and I just phoned it in.
No,
I really
totally,
did.
totally.
I totally phoned it in.
Well, you know, the thing is that like I've performed at a friend's wedding before.
That's weird.
And oh yeah, it was super weird, but I was like a young comic, so I was excited about it, you know? I was like, fuck yeah, and they were excited about it.
Yeah.
And you know, it's just really before that point in your career where you know doing your routine is not a great idea at a wedding, at a function, you know?
Yeah.
So I get up in front of this very conservative white and Indian family. And I rattle off like 15 minutes of like, you know, cleanish club material, but mostly club stuff.
Yeah.
And it's like my other buddy, dying, right? And every other like, you know, 18 to 34-year-old man just loving it. And the whole rest of the fucking wedding just completely like jaws dropped. So this time around, you know, there was a lot of pressure because I'm like, I really fucked that opportunity up once. And I don't know how. I was like, oh, I thought this is what they wanted, a comedy show. And I was like, this is not what they wanted. Yeah. And then, you know, so I add on top of that, this is my best friend, and I'm like responsible for like 80% of the speaking roles. It was a high pressure situation, you know?
I had to, because I grew up in the Armenian evangelical church system in the Bay Area, and they pressured me into doing one of their Christmas banquet events, and I can't do my act. Like, that's fucking no good is gonna come of that. So I ended up writing like 20 minutes of fucking just softball, underhand pitch, fucking Christmas jokes, and you know, every joke that I've written and I've been like, that's fucking absurd, and just thrown it away. Like, this is a joke that I wrote for that show, and it'll be forever ingrained in my head because it was so terrible that it fucking just will never go away. It's gonna turn into a tumor in my head one day. And I'm too lazy to take down all the Halloween stuff I put up, so I end up just throwing Christmas lights on it. So this year for Christmas, my front yard had a haunted gingerbread house. And that is the stupidest joke I've ever written in my life.
How did it go, though?
It killed, because it's a fucking church crowd.
Yeah.
And
dude, you know what's funny, man? Church guys make bank. Like, guys who work clean and do Christian, man, people pay for those. I had this guy come up to me and goes, hey, you know, we went and saw a comedy show, Christian comedian, and immediately I just tune out. I'm like, fuck this is gonna be boring, you know. But the level of excitement, you know, because, you know, Christians like to laugh too.
Yeah.
Everyone likes to laugh.
Generally not as much, I've noticed.
Right, not as much. They're not allowed to, but it's funny, man. You know, like you get these weird gigs, and I was in San Francisco 2 weeks ago, and I was working with Louis Anderson. He's like, you should come open for me in Vegas. And I was like, yeah, that'd be great. He's like, you work clean? And I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Not Vegas clean, you know? Like, at this point in my career, I'm pretty opposed to working clean unless it pays really, really well. You know, I
like
just
a
don't care.
corporate gig or something, like, fuck it.
If it's $1,000 for doing nothing, like, yeah. But
well, all my clean material is the material I hate doing. it's all the stuff that's like I have a clean hour, but it's an hour of I'm fat and that's why this is awkward, and it's like all
Right.
you know, it's just the material I don't like doing anymore. Like I try not to write fat jokes. That has to be a really good fat joke for me to still do it on stage.
But I've like as a professional, you know, like my role in the world really has like shifted to being a writer. You know, I had a book. It was a pretty big success. You know, I've got some TV projects in the works. I got some, you know, film project in the works. Like, but I'm as a writer, you know. So like, whereas I say I started in my career to be a performer, that's like, you know, comedy's like what I go do to like. That's what I would do for fun now, you know.
Yeah.
Like ironically, like comedy got me into a place where like now comedy's like my fun hobby. Which is how it started too. So it's weird. It's full circle.
That's how I'm treating my children. They're just a hobby on the side.
Just a fun hobby.
When I'm not doing stand-up, when I'm not doing the things that really motivate my life, you know, I'll sprinkle some fatherhood in there.
Some kids, yeah. It's, you know, it's weird. Like the comedy scene, you know, it fucking burns you out, man. It burns you out. Like you can only see so many like. You know, so many people you hate become successful before you're like, you know what, fuck it. Maybe the world just doesn't get me as a comic, or you know, like I had wrote this post where I'm like, you know, as a comedian, I'll probably never be famous now.
Yeah.
You know, I doubt because I just don't have the motivation to be that guy anymore.
That sucks. My entire career strategy was writing on your coattails.
Dude, well, you know, look, hey. If I sell a pilot next year, I'll probably start touring again. But I'm never going to be known as, you know.
Yeah.
I just don't see, like, I don't like it. People like me better as a personality than a stand-up. Like,
you're a very likable guy. I mean, I remember young Justin Harrison when we first met.
Young, still 3 years older than you or something like that. Yeah.
But like, I think I started like 3-4 years before you did.
Maybe, yeah. Well, not technically. Technically, I started back in like 2003.
Okay.
I'm like a grizzled veteran, technically.
Grizzled veteran. Yeah.
A grizzled veteran who would hit open mics for like, you know, a month and then quit for 5 years. But yeah, whatever.
It's interesting. I started out when I was 17 on kind of a lark because I'd always enjoyed it, but I'd never actually like pursued it like seriously until like maybe like 2 years before I met you. Like there was like almost 3 years where I was just fucking around. So now I hit 10 years this year, and now it's like wow, I've devoted my entire adult life to this. I better start showing something for that time investment. I could have been a doctor by now.
Totally. No, I mean, I think for me, like, I couldn't have been a doctor by now, so that makes me feel better. But yeah, man, you know, I'm 6 years in the game, which is not the longest time in the world, but you're like, fucking 6 years, you know? That's almost as long as it takes to be a doctor, you know, or a lawyer or something.
Fair enough.
But for me, like, the last, like, you know, when the book dropped, you know, that was supposed to be it for me, you know? And the successful book, like, that translates for a lot of things. It doesn't translate for comedy. You know, for whatever reason. For some people it does. Mine didn't. Mine was too, like, self-helpy and, like, whatever else. So I had this, like this personas of a personality, you know? And so I got my Love It show, which has been really fun, and I like doing that, and I've got a nice following from that. And, like, you know, people recognize me, you know, in the lit world, but, you know, as a stand-up, like, I'm a club guy still. You know, I'm a regular at all the clubs and spots in California, but, you know, I just never hit that, like, touring the country, you know, people can't get enough of me level, you know.
Well, all right, so give me a time frame. How long were you doing just stand-up before the book and, like, all the other kind of writing stuff happened?
I was on the road for 3 years, like, grinding it out. But, you know, that was producing. That's, like, you know, that's taking every shit gig from here to, you know, Oregon, you know, that's...
You mean my calendar?
What's that?
You mean my calendar?
Exactly, yeah,
okay.
Exactly. No, I mean, so yeah, probably same shit, you know? there was 3 years of that, and I was living in LA at the same time. So, you know, I've always been really fortunate in my career that I've always had something going on.
Okay,
So,
fair enough.
I mean, I was down in LA, and I was like, you know, I had a pilot deal, and I had this, and I had that. I was just doing like garbage gig after garbage gig after, you know. So, but I hit a point where I was like, you know, the book's out. There's some money there. You know, not a lot by any means. Obviously, you see, I'm still wearing Levi's and shit, but and my shoes are fucking older than your car. But you know, I like a little bit more comfortable. I swear to God, every step we take in the city, there's going to be people. This is the sleepiest, quietest little piece of shit city.
What's funny is that, like, just within earshot of this microphone, I hope you guys can hear it, so I'm not just going to sound like I'm talking, like I'm hearing voice and shit. There's this gaggle of squawking twats that's fucking walking towards us. They're so goddamn loud that we're just going to wait for them to pass before we continue doing this.
We gotta do it.
Because their voices are so abrasive and loud.
I love
abrasive and loud.
I love your anger.
So abrasive and loud. I'm going to keep saying it till they're on my earshot.
I love, like, Greg's anger. He's like, hey, we're trying to record a podcast on a public street. Show some fucking respect.
What's funny is that, like, I think it's just holdover anger from my youth. Because they're just, 15 years ago, they're the same girls that were just ignoring me.
They weren't going to fuck you.
Yeah.
Well, you know what I find the great thing about being a grown man is, you know, it's way easier to fuck teenagers. You know
That's
what I
true.
mean? So,
it's true.
but yeah, man, you know, you get to a place, well, for me, you know, my experience has been, I've gotten to a place of, like, relative comfort in my career.
Yeah.
And I'm really fucking hungry, but, you know, it's a different pursuit for me, like...
Well, you're hardworking. I mean, you're one of the most hardworking guys I know.
I appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, I'm writing 8 hours a day now. You know, I'm producing 25 pages of content. Like, so yeah, in a given day, I probably write 20 pages. I would guess, and that's you know, that's on a second book, screenplays, scripts. I'm writing a one-man show right now. You know, like. We look to start doing that in the Bay Area and touring around with that. So
see, and I think that is like the idea of the one-man show is interesting to me because, like, I know a lot of comics that have done it, and Sarah Benicasu, we were talking about earlier, who I had on the show a few episodes ago. She's a stand-up, but she started doing that Agora Fabulous one-woman show, which turned into a book deal. Which turned into a pilot. Possibly, and like all this stuff like that, and so it's like it's a persona and an idea that's very marketable, and I think that's what you're doing with the fat player thing. Yeah,
well, and you know, I mean, I don't know if you can tell, but like this year I've dropped 40 pounds even, you know, since the beginning of the year to now, and I'm gonna drop, my goal is to drop another 20 from where I'm at, and then sort of reassess and see where I'm at. So the whole fat player thing is sort of that's dwindling. That was 2014. You know, and I'll probably, you know, I did big press junkets on that, and like, you know, sort of got to go, you know, I was exposed all over the country, and that was really cool. And that's sort of winding down. That's coming to its tail end. But I think like what's interesting is, you know, I was talking to a good friend of mine today, and he's got 3 really successful one-man shows that tour. You know, and I said I think I'm going to use it as a precursor to my next book. You know, so, and it feels like an easy way to sort of, you know, play something out, and I it's funny because the show I'm writing, I've tried to start that book, like 5 fucking times, and I'm just like, it's too big, it's too convoluted, I don't know what I'm trying to say, I don't know what the point is, right? But as a one-man show, it makes complete sense to me. And I have this feeling, it's like once I start performing, like it'll come together as a book. You know, I know how to write a book, obviously, and so it's cool, you know, and that's where my passion at is writing. And, you know, my first love will always be performing, but right now, like, I just feel like, you know, I feel like I have a reputation as a comic as being, like, you know, not a hack, but, like, as a producer.
You're reliable.
And a hustler. I'm reliable, but, like, I feel like people think I'm, like, my personality's abrasive. And, I come off, like...
Fair enough.
Yeah, I come off as an asshole and kind of a douchebag. And I am an asshole and kind of a douchebag. But I think that takes away, you know, that detracts, like, from people's perception of me as an artist. and as a creative person.
Well, because you don't see the financially successful and the overtly artistic successful together always.
Right, that's
So
rarely
I think that's
crosses.
an assumption that people make. I mean, I think, yeah, it's abrasive to an extent, but like, abrasive, that's Freudian.
I'm also abrasive, yeah.
But I think, like, I don't know, I feel like it's just the fact that you're not impressed by anybody who isn't giving it everything they've got is kind of the way I've always seen it. Like, the people me and you have worked with over the years, it's like, these are all people that'll impress us, or at least even if they're not at their A game yet, you can see them working towards a goal.
Right, well, I mean, like, my best friends in the industry are, you know, Sammy Obeid and Al Gonzalez. Those are my guys. We've all lived together before, you know what I mean? Like, and, you know, they both have two very different career trajectories. Like, Al was really like a producer, you know, he's super producer. But, that, you know, that guy was the hardest working guy in San Francisco comedy for years. And then Sammy, literally the hardest working guy in comedy, period.
Oh, yeah, hands
you know
down.
what I mean? You do 1,000 nights in a row of comedy, you do get the title of hardest working guy.
Yeah.
And that's why we all got along. You know, I mean, I was with Sammy, you know, I was with Sammy for Conan.
Yeah.
And we were in his living room running sets at 7:30 in the morning. We're running sets. He goes and does Playboy Radio in the morning, drives back to his house in fucking Sherman Oaks or wherever he lived. And then he's running his set, you know, in front of a group of us. I mean, he's a madman, but that wasn't weird to us. We're just like, oh, of course, that's where else would we be?
Is that it's I think people don't underestimate, or people do underestimate how hard we work in those moments. Like, because I think you come from this a little bit too. It's like you did like the theater stuff when you were younger and things like that.
Sure, yeah.
There's a kind of work ethic that we kind of learned before we were even comics about how performance is supposed to be. And like, I know you're really rehearsed, you're really critical of your material. I always run through jokes constantly. Sammy is a machine.
I mean, Sammy is like Excel spreadsheet, crazy, you know, insane. Yeah. I'm more just
he was
like,
a math major at Berkeley, wasn't
absolutely,
he?
Yeah. I'm just more like, think about killing myself because like that joke didn't go the way I wanted to.
I was doing 4 shows a week, like that at the same time. Sammy was doing those like 1,000 nights of comedy.
He did 2,500 shows.
Yeah, he made me feel so fucking lazy.
I mean, I remember there'd be nights during the run.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll still go out together and, you know, just go hit sets.
Yeah.
But, you know, I remember during the run up to it, we would go out and like, I would be exhausted. And we'd be like half of his shows in. You know, be like, yeah, I'm going to get in 5 sets tonight in LA. And I, like, midway through, I'd be like, I can't fucking do this anymore. You're out of your mind. And he did that for 1,000 nights straight, you know?
Yeah. No, Sammy is somebody who, for one, everybody respects. You never hear "fuck Sammy Obeid" from anybody.
Never.
And he's a nice guy. He's super talented. He's someone I can say without hesitation deserves every ounce of success he gets.
Totally. And I think you would have 50% of the people who know me would say that about me. 50% would be like, Justin Harrison works really hard. You know, he's a really nice guy. Takes care of his friends. And the other 50% would be like, Justin Harrison's an absolute piece of shit. And he's a fucking slumlord and all this other stuff.
And 2/3 of those people would be, who's Greg Asdourian?
Well, no, you know, San Francisco comedy, you know, it's like, I'm not, there's no place in, you know, there's no place that, no scene where one person is like beloved and hated as I am. Like, it's a real dividing line. You know, there's guys that like, you either love me or hate me. There's very few people who are indifferent to me. And I guess that's good, you know?
I think before you, Justin Scales might have been close.
Yeah.
Although
but
I think that was like 70-30.
Yeah.
Maybe, with Scales.
70 hated him, 30 liked him. Yeah. I love Scales, but that
was a
tells you
loyal fucking 30% he had.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
No, all right.
But for different reasons for me, you know?
Yeah.
Because for me, like, this has been my career. It's my job. So, like, I came in and I was like, I'm here to make money. I'm here to, like, have a career. And, you know, if you want to be a hobbyist and shit, great. But I'm not in with that fucking shit. And I'm not here to have friends with people.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not here to just make friends with people and hang out.
Yeah, hobby comics drive me nuts.
To be on a treadmill?
Well, and there's so many of them in the city.
Yeah, it's funny because whenever there's that wave of comedy becoming mainstream again, comes the wave of fucking the hobby
Hobbyists,
comics,
yeah.
and like it drives. Well, my least favorite thing on earth are the retiree comics. They drive me batshit insane, and it's like because they've no desire to build up any kind of actual career because they're in their 60s and 70s.
Right, they're coming
just
to
bored.
run. They're coming to run their same 20 that they've had for the last 15 years.
Yeah.
And,
And someone whose names, I'm not going to name names, but like, I literally, most of their material is Otati Fields jokes.
Really?
Yeah, like I watched it, like I even looked up old like YouTube clips and like, yeah, confirmed. Like, so I've seen like, they're bored and they're like, and I've had to go on the road with one of them once and it drove me nuts. The car was shaking from side to side the entire time. And, hint, anybody who knows what I'm talking about. And they're not good, most of them, because they don't put the work into it, because it's just something social to do. They're not part of any kind of like water buffalo lodge or anything they can go hang out at in their senior
No, right.
days.
It's hanging out at the punchline.
Yeah.
Going and doing a run or whatever.
Yeah, and how much fun is it hanging out with people that are 40 to like 50 years younger than you?
Hey, look, I love the old timers. I guess that's where we separate, because, I love like, Durst and Johnny Steele and all those guys.
Those guys are comics who are just older now, but they've been doing it forever.
Right,
There's
right,
a
right.
difference between, like, Larry Bubbles Brown is one of my closest friends and a mentor of mine, and same with Stephen Pearl, all these guys. They're not who I'm talking about. They're just comics that are older now.
Right.
I'm talking about, like, comics who started when they were, like, 60.
Oh.
Bored. Like,
Just say Griffin Daly then. I don't know.
I mean, Griffin Daly's a nice guy.
Griffin's
though.
funny,
More like
though. I like
Sandra
Griffin.
Risser. She's a pain in the ass, kind of.
What did she do? I don't even know her story. I don't think I've ever met her.
She was a bodybuilder. She was like a competitive bodybuilder.
Oh,
in,
that's
like,
gross. That makes
in, like,
sense, though.
the fucking that's why she looks like She-Hulk, fucking melting.
That woman hits me up all the time and goes, "Hey, I'd love to do a show of yours." I don't think people realize I'm not a producer anymore.
Yeah.
Like, I don't produce content. Either that, or they're like, people just go, "Hey, I want to open for you sometime."
Yeah.
I never met you before. Like, by virtue of the fact that we both done San Francisco comedy does not make you, an opener.
How do you tell someone that you don't think they're funny and not hurt their feelings?
I don't even know these people.
Yeah.
It's bizarre. There's very few people I know who ask to open for me. And as I found out, like, so rudely post book, it was like you don't even get the option. I went on tour and it was like it was initially it was gonna be like, because I wrote the book to be a comedian and things twisted differently, which is cool, but we did a 6-show tour. My publicist set up, and I had zero fucking say about anything. You know what I mean? It was just like this guy, that guy. So, like, you would be my future if I had, my comeuppance, because I don't want anybody who could possibly be funnier than me. You know what I'm saying? I'm kidding. No, but for me, like, if I'm going out on the road or like I have to go do a show for a weekend, like I want to hang out with my buddies. I don't feel like, I don't want to hang out with fucking Travis, the local host at the Yuck Yuck Club, But when you're a nobody, that's exactly who's opening for you, Travis, the no-name.
Yeah. I mean, it's weird, because once someone's putting money into your career, it's amazing how little you say you can tend to have.
No, and especially at my level, because, I'm, like, frankly, I'm a feature comic that gets to do one-nighters, basically, when I'm a comic. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's basically what I'm at. And in certain places like San Francisco, I'm an opening comic still. So,
I mean, same thing here. It's like I'll do, like, there are weeks where I'll do 5 hours.
Yeah.
But like, in San Francisco, LA, I'm still a feature if I'm lucky, opener consistently.
Yeah.
Even though I'm, making a living as a road dog.
Well, and clubs in the road are 2 different places, and every club has its different rules and regulations, and part of my standing in certain scenes is my own fault. I mean, I got hammered, like a year ago. I was having kind of a drinking problem. Not a drinking problem per se, but I was just letting it get out of hand and wasn't focused, and got myself in trouble with Live Nation, and so part of where I'm at with that system is my on me. That's not a fucking and other things happen, like they'll ask me to come do stuff, and I can't afford to anymore. It's like where I would love to come up to an opening weekend with my buddies and work with guys I like. The reality is 6 nights 6 days for $300 is not. I can't afford that. I'm like, I can't leave work for that. Financially, I can't do it. So comedy gets real complicated for people who are not successful at it. It becomes a real choice. You're like, how many more years can I spend money on this?
Yeah. You're either investing in it a lot, which is where the whole day job thing comes in, or you're overtly successful. There's no real in between. Like, it's interesting because like I was making enough to support myself. I wasn't making enough to support a family. Thankfully, my wife is overtly successful, and we're things are comfortable with the kids and all that. But it's interesting. My wife is somewhat emotionally invested in my career. Like she actually believes this will become something, like, which is absurd to me.
Well, you know what's funny about that? But you say that, and it's interesting because I had a great, another Armenian comic, my buddy Sam Tripoli, a mutual friend of ours. He pulled me aside because I was real blue. I forgot what was going on. Yeah. I was bummed, whatever. When aren't comics fucking bummed? He pulled me aside and he goes, "Hey, look, man, you've got a good career going. You'll be, you can be, a blue collar comic. You can be a guy that makes a nice living, and you don't have to be fucking arena famous, Yeah. And that's what I'm finding out now. It's like, I'm parlayed my book. I've got a nice vodcast. It's having some success, and like I said, some writing projects, and I'm involved with this thing and that thing, and some TV deals and whatever else. And 95% of it will not happen. This year alone, I've been signed to fucking 12 goddamn different projects that didn't happen. Shot 2 pilots, and they go by the wayside. That's the name of the game. But it's like I'm in the mix, and I'll be okay. And I'm blue collar, I'm scraping by.
Yeah, it's funny. Like I sit on this like no man's land. I've had this explained to me by a few different agents over the years. Is that I'm in this no man's land of marketability. Like it's like I'm funny and like audiences like me, but like as far as like my persona goes, things like that, it's not something that you can market a sitcom around. It's not something you can, it's like, fucking Mitch Hedberg always said, it's like when you're a comedian, they want you to do things that are related to comedy but aren't comedy.
Absolutely.
And there's like, I don't have those branches easily attached to what I do.
Well, but a big part of like, for me, like finding some more success, finding some more connection, generating interest in me, generating interest in myself as talent has been letting go of myself as talent. You know what I mean? So I stopped I used to every pilot, every script I write would be with me in mind, right? So I would write these projects, and everything I would write, I would visualize myself as the lead or whatever.
Yeah.
As soon as I stopped doing that, I started being a way better writer. You know what I mean? And I was able to like start coming with things that were marketable. I could sell. What a fucking douchebag.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a long haul fucking grind. I'll never work in an office again.
Yeah.
And that's basically it for me. As long as I don't have to do that, I'm cool.
Yeah,
I'd love the yachts and mansions, but as long as I got money for coke and can still fuck young women. Yes.
I thought they were gonna bust us for doing this on the street without a permit or something.
No, I think they're gonna go bust that fucking motorcycle.
Oh no, there's a fire truck too. It's like there's like an actual emergency of some kind somewhere.
Boring.
Yeah. I don't know. It's interesting because you found a really great niche with what you were doing for the last like year and a half. It's because the whole society's ideas of what the successful man looks like have changed in as far as pop culture goes. Probably because society as a whole is getting much, much fatter.
Yeah.
And so it's interesting because you found like a really great little pocket of that nobody had touched yet. Like, yeah, the whole pickup artist thing had become popular in the last few years, but no one had done the pickup artist thing for the everyday guy.
Yeah.
You know, it's always how to be a douchebag if you're already skinny and good looking. There's not like how to be a douchebag if you're an everyday. Well, not how to be a douchebag.
No, that's it. Yeah, how to be a douchebag.
Fair enough. And but just how to be successful in that arena as an everyday looking guy. Like, how do you do that? No one had ever touched on that before. So I think it was interesting that you did that.
Well, I think the point of it, look, if I'm being transparent, it's, there's two things at play here. Find something you do well already, and for me, that was getting laid. Like, I'm good at that. I don't know why girls fuck me. I'm a mess. You know what I mean? I'm a mess. Like, look at me right now. I look, like you said,
look
I walked
like a Backstreet Boy.
Yeah, like, I walked in here like, what's up with the Mad Max extra look or whatever? My voice sounds like a 50-year-old man's that's got, third round of chemo and for lung cancer, you know what I mean? Throat cancer. God, I'm on Wellbutrin, whatever. There's problems. But I've always gotten laid. I know how to talk to women, and that's the thing I can do. It's one skill I have. And then, so there's that skill, and then I'm like, how do I make that marketable? Because other people have done that. And, the unique thing about me is I was getting laid as a fat guy, And so, I'm like, just like you said, I'm like, I've never heard somebody do something like this. And I'm sure somebody's going to do it way better than me, But that's cool, because I still get to be the first one, you know?
You'll be referenced in the Wikipedia page.
Right. Justin Harrison tried this, failed miserably.
Yeah.
Billy Gardell, on the other hand, crushed it,
That's the thing is that, like, I just joke around, is it's like, there's always, like, one successful heavyset dude, and right now, it's...
Melissa McCarthy?
Well, Billy Gardell is one of them, but, like, what's his name? Paul Blart, fucking Mall Cop.
Oh, Kevin James,
yeah. So once the two of them die, me and you will slip into that.
Yeah, we slide into those.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm starting to think, like, this whole fat guy niche just might not be it for me.
Yeah. That's fine. I'll pick up any of those scraps that you leave.
No, go for it, I write characters that are big because people are big. Yeah. America's big. And,
I love that the era of the fat guy with the hot sitcom wife is over. Now it's Billy Gardell and Melissa McCarthy.
I hate that, man.
Yeah.
That's all I wanted, man.
Like, even the hot wife is fat now. Like, it's like...
Right, like, I wanted Kevin James's life and career.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I get to make out with Leah Remy, like, every day at work, and then go home and bang my Filipino model wife, Like, what a... this fucking guy.
I've been wanting to make out with her since Saved by the Bell.
Saved by the Bell, the college years.
No, it wasn't the college years. It was the summertime when they were fucking at that resort.
That was part of the college years.
Was it part of the college years?
Yeah,
okay.
Totally.
All right.
Don't test my Saved by the Bell knowledge, man. I know that.
Saved by the Bell.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
I know S by the B. But yeah, there's, it's funny because I'm working on a CBS pilot right now, and it's like, I had a producer approach me that I worked with on something. He said, "Hey, look, we can't get anybody to write for Middle America anymore. Nobody wants to write a 3-camera sitcom. Everybody wants to write The Office. Everyone wants to write fucking, Arrested Development. There's 250,000 young writers trying to write the next Arrested Development who somehow forgot that, Arrested Development barely made it 3 seasons, and it's a phenomenal, incredible show, and I know Chuck Martin, one of the creators, and he's awesome.
But it's still a niche.
It's a niche thing, And it's like people in the know like it, and the majority of America like fucking Big Bang Theory,
Yeah.
And nobody wants to be the guy that writes 2.5 Men, so Chuck Lorre just keeps cranking them out, and that's what this guy said. He goes, nobody wants to write these shows.
I'm putting this out into the world. I would write any of those shows in a fucking heartbeat.
Write them.
I have 2 children. Hire me to write these shows.
Well, that's the thing. Hire you to write them is not how it works. It's
I know.
Go think of some shit.
Exactly. Well, the thing is that, like, my background is as a writer in that arena, because you did the book, and I'm just not that kind of writer. But I've written plenty of stuff spec. I've done punch-up work for stuff before.
Sure.
So it's like, I wish I could organize my thoughts into something as cohesive as a book.
Well, look, I mean, once you write a book, screenwriting is so fucking easy.
Yeah.
You're like, I can't believe how easy this is. But, the tough part with screenwriting is, like, man, you got to figure out something interesting and funny quick.
Yeah.
A book, I can sit there and build up a story for fucking 6 pages. And, for a sitcom, you want to be marketable to middle America? Like, I got 15 words before there better be a laugh in there, Like, it's like tweeting, Like, you have 140 characters, you better make them laugh.
Yeah. So the book is somewhat autobiographical, right? Break down the book. Like, what is the book made of? It's made of stories, or is it like things you've made up? Or?
Yeah. By the way, thank you. One of my dearest friends in comedy, known this guy for fucking years. I've had a book out for a year. Has no idea what the book's about. I appreciate it, Greg.
I believe that was me setting it up for you to explain.
I got it. Yeah.
That and I can't read.
Right. Greg's. He doesn't talk about the other side, the Salvadorian side. He's illiterate. No, yeah. I mean, it's Confessions of a Fat Player, right? Yeah. So it's got confessions in it, which are a series of vignettes of me doing dirty, raunchy shit with women, and funny, crazy situations, banging abroad in the stairwell of the Sacramento Punchline, which, by the way, first place I ever said was the Sacramento Punchline. To some sweeter things, falling in
next
love.
to a mattress store.
Oh yeah, it's the funniest part about that club. It's in the same building as a mattress store. But yeah, and then like there's a lot of self-help stuff in there. There's a lot of tips and pointers, how to dress, dates you can go on, how not to spend a ton of money, So it's useful shit too. So it's not just me being like, hey, look at all these models I fucked, which there's been a few. It's also like, here's how you can do it too.
Yeah, it's me and you have always had that kind of shared thing, is that we never let the big dude thing limit us.
No.
Yeah.
No, I love it. Although I will tell you this, because I've lost 40 pounds this year, and my cock is so much bigger. It's incredible. I've gained seriously, like at least 3/4 of an inch. It's amazing.
Is it like the dark side of the moon? Is it just Mars getting sunlight or something? Or
yeah, I like whatever it is. Like it's bigger, it's harder.
Right.
I think part of it too is like I have energy because I'm working out and shit. But like, yeah, I mean, like I gotta say, if you're ever like, if you're a fan of mine or Greg's and you're listening to this and you're a big guy and you're like, I don't know how to do it. Do it forget health. Who cares about health? We're all gonna die. I mean, obviously, me and Greg a lot sooner than most people, but just your cock's gonna be bigger for that amount of time. It's nice.
What's funny is all my friends who have been like getting in better shape and are healthier, I always ask them like, "What's the trick, man? How did you do it?" And there's no trick. You fucking eat better and exercise.
Diet and exercise. Yeah. Somebody was like, "What's your secret?" I was like, "Diet and occasional exercise."
Yeah.
But I stopped eating everything I like.
Yeah. Even fucking Kevin Smith is losing a shit ton of weight right now.
Dude, that guy really yo-yos, man.
Yeah, and he's the guy who like makes me feel good about myself. Like he's like, oh, at least I'm not as big as Kevin Smith. And now he's like not doing processed sugars and lost like a shit ton of weight. And I'm like, God damn it.
I gave that up too.
Yeah.
I don't eat sugar. I don't eat sugar. I don't eat. I mean, I eat very few carbs now. I mean, it's crazy, dude.
What's funny?
I'm such an LA pussy now. It's amazing.
It's when I was a young comic, like me 3-4 years in, I got to meet Drew Carey randomly at I think it was the Comedy Store.
Drew's the greatest.
Yeah, he's a super nice guy, but he was still big back then, and I'm just like, hey, I'm a bigger comedian, and like your show and your stand-up really made me feel good about myself when I was younger. Made me realize that I can be the smartest one in the room, even if people are trying to talk shit to me, and just like really, really influenced me as a person, not just as a comedian. And he's like, oh, that's really nice. And then I ran into him. I've ran into him a few times over the years, and then I ran into him like a year ago after he lost all the weight, and it was like I kind of reminded him of that moment, and it was like, yeah, now he lost all that weight and just completely destroyed my self-esteem again.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Just well, I'm working on it. I'll know I've hit my goal when Greg can't be my friend anymore. When I'm not invited to shit anymore. When are you guys having like a real wedding, you and your wife?
It's not. Now we're going to wait till the baby's a little older.
So this fucking guy, for those of you listening at home, has been married for what?
It'll be a year next month.
Yeah.
It'll be a year in November.
And I keep asking him because I want an invitation. I want to come to the wedding. And like, this is my thing. I count you as a real friend if you invite me to your wedding. If you don't invite me to your wedding, we're acquaintances. We could be buds. I had a good buddy that I would have counted as a friend for years. And he got married. He didn't invite me. I was like, well, fuck this guy. He's out.
I'm saying this on the record right now. You were one of 2 comedians that were going to be asked to be groomsmen.
Who's the other one?
You and Miles Weber.
Weber.
Yeah.
Weber. He's in LA now, right?
Yeah, he is.
I like Miles. Good people.
Yeah. What's funny is that, like, I'm glad me and my wife ended up eloping, because he was just like, I'm on the road that week. I can't fucking do your wedding. When we were originally figuring out dates and stuff like that. But yeah, no, we're gonna have a big party like now that the baby's out, and it's probably gonna be our last hurrah before we move down to LA.
I can't wait for you guys to move down to LA. I think you'll have a lot more success there. I think they're looking for guys like you. Believe it or not, of all the places where they're looking for fucking fat slobs like us, it's Los Angeles, the place where you're supposed to be all really good looking and shit. Yeah. But the reason being is that like there's TV commercials and all this shit where they need fat guys. Yeah. Because there's fat people in the world.
I have no problem spending the rest of my career as the before picture. I don't give a shit.
Dude, I get called in for fucking football player number 2, fat guy who loves chicken number 3. It's like, whatever, man. It's paying the bills, Fair
enough. This was fun, man. I'm glad we got to sit down.
I love coming out here, man. Thank you for having me. And
So where can they get the book?
You can get the book. It's in wide release, e-format and print. It's available at every Barnes & Noble in the world. It's available on Amazon, Nook, Sony, e-readers, iTunes. And if you buy a copy online and mail it to me, I'll sign it for you and mail it back. I'll sign you something personal.
All right. Thanks for coming.
Tweet at me, @JustinIsFunny.
So, that was Justin Harrison, huh? What'd I tell you? Fun, interesting, smart cookie of a guy. Yeah, he's great. You can find him online on Twitter at JustinIsFunny or JustinIsFunny.com. That's where you can find him on the internets and all that stuff. Check him out. Find him on stage. Read his book. Hilarious. As always, Rob Dillinger did the music. You can find him on Twitter at Rob Dillinger. You can find me online on Twitter at Greg Asdourian or gregasdourian.com. You can also follow the NQF Podcast to get all the up-to-date stuff specifically about the podcast at nqfpod.com. You can follow it on Facebook as well, facebook.com/NQFpod or facebook.com/Greg Asdourian. You can do that too. Like a bitch. It'll be great. But yeah, ton of shows coming up. Please come check them out. Go to my website, gregasdourian.com. Look at my upcoming shows. Tomorrow night, Fresno, 9 p.m. or 8 p.m. rather. January 9th, 8 p.m. show. Fresno, California. Please come check it out. Armenians, I'm talking to you. Then all the other dates, next week, Reno, the 17th. Please come out to that show. It's going to be awesome. I am looking forward to seeing you guys at all these upcoming dates I have. Make sure you check us out on the social media stuff, like I said. Go to gregasdourian.com and you can email the show directly there if Twitter or Facebook aren't really your thing. You can email us directly through that portal on there. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed the show. We took a nice little hiatus, but we're back to being weekly. A lot of great interviews about to come out. I've got a ton of them in the can. I'm looking forward to sharing them with you guys. See you guys next week. Have a good one.